Stuart, a couple of days have passed since relegation was confirmed. Just sum up your emotions for us at this current time on the situation.
Yeah, it's not particularly nice, but it's also not the biggest surprise. And I think I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've been crying all weekend or try and put a show on that, for the fans to go, oh wow, look at him, he cares. It's like, my job is to get our head around it and get on with it, not sit here sulking, not sit here blaming people or looking for reasons. We were fortunate with the lockdown. We had a lot of time to reflect on this season and what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, and I spent a lot of time with Daniel at that period, and the rest of the staff. So almost we could analyse if this happened then as opposed to now, and now it's about actions. Now it's about moving forward, not dwelling on the past. It's like when someone dies, we can't change it. We can't change the fact that we've been relegated. We have get our heads around it. Let's dust ourselves off and let's go again. And where I'm from, the country I'm from, you get up and fight. You get back up and fight. You don't lie down on the canvas and let people laugh at you. You get back up and fight. And we'll have some criticism and people will have plenty to say, no doubt. It'll be the same people who a year ago were calling us geniuses. So you have to just live with that and get on with it. But like I say, now it's not time for words. It's time for actions. And it's time for take what we've learned from this and prove that we can get back there and prove that next time we can do it better.
In terms of the recruitment that was made in the two windows over the season, what did you make of it, and do you have any regrets in terms of any of the players that came in?
No regrets. I think every player who's come in has tried their best. Every player in the club and every staff member, I truly believe, have tried their best. I think, frankly, we've not been good enough, and people don't like to hear that. People want to look for reasons and they want to delve deeper. And it's like, in the end, it comes down to quality, And I said to someone the other day, I said, it's like we've gone into a war without a gun. And guess what? We've been shot. And, if you look at the other two teams promoted, you had one who spent over 100 million and one spent 60, 70 million. We can't compete with that. When we got promoted last year, the words that we used weren't a joke when we said we'd be the lowest spenders, have the lowest budget, that it was going to be unbelievably difficult, we were going to need another miracle. That wasn't us trying to buy time or trying to have a laugh with people. That was where we were at. We've gone into the Premier League with an extremely inexperienced young team. We've not been able to recruit the level of player we want because I think, listen, we've sold a lot of players from here in the last few years who've gone into the Premier League and not performed, and we've got a lot of money for them. So even when you have money, unless you have real money and you can go and spend money to get top quality, you can also go and waste a lot of money, and that's one thing, and I make no apologies for. I was refusing to do. I was not going to put this club back in the state that I found it, and frankly, if people don't like that, I'm okay with that. If people above me don't like it, then I'll go. But I'm not going to leave the place in the state that I found it in, because I truly believe this football club is to be here for forever, and I'm passing through to try and help it make it the best it can be. And if it was about my ego or Daniel's ego, then yeah, of course we would have spent a load of money, maybe got a few likes on Twitter while we did it, leave the club in a hole, potentially get relegated, and then we get sacked and off we go, and someone else has to pick up the mess. And I refuse to do that, and I make no apologies for that. Could we have done better? Of course we could, and I'm the first to admit, and I'm sure when we go through this, people want to look for people to blame. Blame me. Don't blame the players. Don't blame Daniel. Don't blame the staff. Don't blame the board. Blame me. If people need a scapegoat, not a problem. I can take it because I don't read it and it doesn't affect me. But so if people want someone to blame, yeah, absolutely blame me, because I'm in charge of the football strategy. I'm in charge of making the decisions of do we or don't we spend money we haven't got, and I chose no, we don't, and I make no apologies for that. But if people don't like that, then absolutely, I'll take the fall for that, and that's okay. I can live with that. But leave the players and staff alone, because they worked unbelievably hard. It's not their fault. It's mine.
And the boss said in his post-match comments after the game on Saturday about the developments that have been made here at the training centre, how important they've been for the long-term future of the club. Just talk to us a little bit about the changes that have happened here and sort of echo the words that he said.
Yeah, I think what's important is when you analyse and review, first of all, yourself. That's the most important thing. But then what we've achieved, and Daniel and I have been here for 3 years now. And I look at what we've achieved. We've achieved around 60 million net in player sales. We've had more academy appearances played at championship and first team level in 3 years than we had in the previous 12 years. We've got a training ground which is now a Premier League training ground. Let's not forget when we turned up, we had a gym in a conservatory. We had a pitch with a hill in it. we had to sell players just to survive. We don't need to do that. Now we've got a young squad. We've got a squad full of international players. We've got a recruitment department which covers all over Europe and into South America now. And this club will get the benefits of that. We've got an academy, like I say, which is producing great productivity. I look at fan engagement from where it was to where it is now, and unfortunately the fans, we can't be with them right now because they're not allowed in the grounds, but the connection and the honesty that we give them as a club, they don't always like what we say, but I think they appreciate that we'll stand up and we'll at least talk with them. You know, I look at the atmosphere, so many things that we've developed. And also, people forget this is our highest league position since we've been here. We finished 34th in the first year, 14th in the Championship. So out of all the top 20, out of all the teams, it'd be 34th. Last year, obviously 21st, and this year probably 20th, which is, of course, we didn't want to finish 20th, we want to finish higher. But the fact is, we've had progress year on year. We go back into the Championship in a much better state than 3 years ago when we were in the Championship. Now that doesn't mean it's going to be easy or we're going to get re-promoted, because we all know it's an outrageously difficult division to get out of and it's an extremely ruthless one. But the fact is the club's in a much sort of better health, and you know, again, we make no apologies. A lot of the work we've done, the benefits of that will be long after the likes of myself have gone. But that's important because football's an infinite game, it doesn't end, and I truly believe my role is to help make this club better in the future. And some of them benefits, like I say, will be long after I've gone, but that's my job. If it was about me or Daniel or whatever, then we wouldn't build a training ground. We would spend money just on players. We would leave to go to other clubs on a personal level and just to earn a bit more money or have a bit more kudos. But it's like, well, no, we're here to try and, you know, the owners have entrusted us. We've got to pay them back. We've got to, you know, help them build something which then someone better than me, hopefully someone better than Daniel, can come in the future and make it even better, because, you know, this club deserves to be the best it can be, but also appreciating where we are, you know. And if you look at our history in the Premier League, I think our average position's 32nd, you know, so we have to be realistic, you know. And I know people will go, oh, you know, after Southampton game, we should be competing with the likes of them. And I've said, hang on a minute, they got 4 England's internationals starting the game. Let's not forget that. As much as, of course, we want to compete with them. Absolutely, of course we do. And can we compete with them in the future? Yeah, we definitely can. But have some also respect for the level of people that we're sort of coming up against here. But we have made lots of positive changes, and I think when people have time to reflect properly on Daniel and I's time here, I think they'll learn to appreciate them a bit more.
Yeah, you mentioned the Southampton game. Obviously, that was at the start of the restart, and obviously the results since the resumption of football haven't been great for us. Do you think that performances from the team have possibly merited a little bit better than what we've got in the end?
Yeah, I mean, some of the performances haven't been good enough. You know, Southampton, West Ham, Arsenal, for sure. You play like that at any level, you get beat, to be honest, let alone at this level, which is just incredibly ruthless. But then other performances, I think, have been there's been some positives to take from them. But it's tough when you're losing games and you've got players that aren't used to that feeling. You know, a lot of our young players have only known winning since they've come in our team, or they've only known winning on loan. You know, Ben Godfrey on his loan got to a playoff final at Shrewsbury. Todd Cantwell on his loan got promoted. So even on their loans, they only knew success. And for a lot of our players, this is the first time that maybe they failed. I don't think they failed. I think they've learned. But, you know, it's the first time that maybe people are questioning them, and they're going to have to question themselves. But this is a period when you grow. Over your life and over your career, these are the moments now when you grow. You don't grow when you win and everyone tells you you're brilliant. You don't grow, you just sort of sail along. This is a moment now when our young players, our staff, everyone will grow, and they'll learn so much from this and will become better people and better footballers or better staff at the end of this, for sure. As much as it hurts like hell for people now, we'll grow and we'll come better for this.
And we've seen another glimpse to the future since the restart with Adam Eder playing a lot more, Josh Martin also in the squad, and Jordan Thomas as well. Can we expect to see more of those guys over the last 3 games and into next season as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure over the next 3 games. I'm sure they'll all be in and around the squad just because of obviously the extra subs and stuff that we're now allowed. But for sure, they're part of our future. And since we've came here, we've shown a real commitment to giving young players opportunity. We've got Daniel, someone who backs young players and makes them better and pushes them. And like I said earlier on in the interview, our productivity's gone through the roof. You know, since Steve Weaver arrived as academy manager, since Daniel as head coach, you know, the plan and the way we've got these young players through has actually transformed what was definitely a failing academy based on the numbers in terms of appearances and players sold and value for money, etc., etc. That's been completely transformed. We're now one of the best. I think when we started, our productivity was 82nd out of the 92 clubs. Bear in mind, 3 or 4 of them don't actually have academies. Now we're up into the top 20, and that's only gonna grow. And it's a big part of our strategy because, as touched on, we can't afford to buy the players that we need to be good enough to compete every week in the Premier League. So we've got to try and create them, whether that's recruiting young, developing and growing them, or whether that's from growing from within our own academy. And that's what we have to do to be competitive at that level. We've got to try and grow our own players who are capable of playing in the Premier League, and that's extremely difficult. It takes a long time, and it might not ever work, but at the end of the day, we can only work with the tools we've got, so we have to try and find a way of making it work. We can't just sit here and give up and go, okay, well, that won't work, so let's not try anything. We've got to try something. And the academy, it's an exciting time for them, and I'm extremely grateful for all the work that Steve and his staff have done, because to be honest, without the academy in the last 3 years, we would never have got to the Premier League in the first place.
Yeah, obviously Max, Todd, Ben, Jamal, all those guys have sort of been part of this journey over the last couple of seasons. Obviously, being young players are going to get linked with moves away when a team gets relegated. What is the club's position when it comes to those players potentially staying or leaving the club?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, for the first time, it's in our hands, since we've been at the club. When I look back to when we sold Jacob Murphy the first window, Josh and James Maddison the second window, or the next summer, we were working with a gun to our head, where we had to sell just to keep the club afloat. Now we don't. Now we've got all the weapons, and it's a case of if somebody goes, it'll be on our terms. It'll be for a lot of money, but also we have to respect what these players have done. These young guys, and not only the young guys but the senior ones as well. They've worked damn hard for this club, and they've achieved a mini miracle in getting to the Premier League. We couldn't quite achieve staying there. But we can't forget what these boys have done for the club so far, and if there's an offer which is right, if it's a club that is right for them, then of course we'll do it the respect of listening to that. We have got to be mindful of a COVID hole to fill, and the longer it goes without supporters and TV rebates, the bigger that hole becomes. So let's not sit here going the world's perfect, because COVID financially has had a massive impact on all football clubs, and we're definitely not immune to that. So, at some point in the next couple of years, we're going to have to fill that gap. But fortunately for us, that's going to be on our terms and the time when we need to do it, as opposed to, oh my God, if we don't do it by August, we're, in administration or something like that.
And you mentioned there about the club being in a much healthier position financially at present. Could you just clarify our position in terms of budgets for next season and when it comes to purchasing players?
Yeah, so I mean, we're fortunate, we're never, our record signing since we've been here is £3.5 million, in 3 years for one player. Do I think we'll beat that this year? Maybe. We're fortunate that we can buy before we sell for the first time since Daniel and I have been here, which is really nice. Financially, we've paid off the training ground, paid all that bond back and made some other developments to it. We've cleared sort of the debts, if you like. So we're in a really good place. Will we spend as much as our competitors in the Championship? Absolutely not. We only look at Leeds last week turned a signing permanent for 15 million. That's not us. So although we'll go down with parachute payments and that puts us in a really healthy position and it enables us to develop a strong squad and a competitive squad on the pitch, we're still not going to be the biggest spenders. We will have good room for a decent wage budget though, and that will help. So I think what I'd say is it's positive, and for sure since I've been here, it's the best position we've been in going into the Championship, and it enables us to be really sort of competitive and have sort of no excuses, if you like. But at the same time, let's not get deluded into thinking that we're going to be the big spenders in that league, because there'll be a lot more spenders than us. There'll be clubs of owners who will continue to invest. So it just doesn't mean that we're guaranteed success. And I know people will always want to attribute a budget and go, well, they got a budget at that, they should be successful. But football doesn't work like that. We wouldn't have got promoted last year if football worked like that. Huddersfield wouldn't have got promoted the season before if football worked like that. And likewise, Leeds wouldn't have spent 16 years in the Championship or whatever it is if football worked like that. So what we can't do is get too caught up on that. But what I can reassure people is, and what's exciting for us down here, is we can do our business. We can do our business early. the model doesn't change. It's still young, hungry players we can develop and make better. That's how we'll do it. But hopefully we can afford to maybe buy some slightly more ready younger players as opposed to real sort of gambles. And that, I've got to say, that's quite exciting.
And just finally, Stuart, just talking about the boss, throughout the season, he's always said he's really committed to the plan here, the project here. He really likes the model that the club sort of has in place. What is your position on his future for the next season? Are you sticking by your man?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Daniel's got 2 years left on his contract, and again, we've sent him into war without a gun, and the club has to take responsibility for that. And then it kills me in football when you see managers put up on this pedestal and everyone chucking rotten apples at them and rotten fruit, blaming them, this, that and the other, searching for answers. At the end of the day, we weren't good enough. We didn't give them a squad of players good enough to compete in the Premier League, and I don't care who was in charge of that squad, I think the end result would be the same. So in terms of backing Daniel, that's not even a question for us. 100% we are. It's for him to really think about whether it's for him going forward again, and I truly believe it is, and I truly believe he will think it is. But at the same time, this job is very tiring when you're in his position. He's had 3 years here of firefighting, sales, trying to change a culture, trying to develop a way of playing, trying to develop and promote young players, trying to fight in the most richest league in the world without, literally, we spent 750 grand. That's tough for him. And then all of the stick and everything which comes his way, and that's why I ask people, please just sort of back off him and back off the players and put it to me, put it to the club, blame us, not him, because at this time him and our players need backing, not people questioning their future or trying to second guess what they're thinking, because he's got the hardest job in the club, and huge respect for him, the way he's carried himself. He doesn't come out in the media and moan. Doesn't criticise the club strategy, he doesn't criticise the club plan, he doesn't moan about we haven't got this money, we haven't got that money. He gets on with his job, and him and his staff work incredibly hard, and I think I just ask the people at this time to just have some respect. And also, don't forget, the same people who will be killing him now 12 months ago, if Webber lets him go, Webber should be shot or whatever. It's like, he hasn't turned into a bad manager or coach overnight. He hasn't. If anything, he'll be miles better for this experience, and now the time is to back him, not be questioning him.